All right, so everybody can see my screen? Yeah. All right. So quarter points are pretty simple. They're just basic. They're all support and resistance levels at a certain number. So let's say you have 1.900, right? Well, the quarter points basically, if you split it up, the next one would be 925, 950, 975, and then 10. Does that make sense? And that's just on a small scale. You know what I mean? But the quarter points, all it is from 0 to, let's say, to 100. If that's what, you're measuring, it'd be every 25. So 50, 75. And you basically have a line there, like a line of support and resistance line. So the reason that I don't worry too much about them is because if I were to put them on as an indicator, like you literally have like lines every freaking, 5 pips or something. You know what I mean? Depending on how you're dividing it with the numbers, But on a 0 to, let's say, 1,000 scale, you're basically doing 250, 500, 750, and then 1,000. That's all quarter points are. And then at these points, you'll have a line, basically, of support or resistance. That's literally all that they are. There's nothing more to it. Don't complicate it any more than what it is. They're just support and resistance lines, just like when people say supply and demand zones. They're just support and resistance areas. It's the same thing, just a different name. That's literally all that it is. They're just areas of support and resistance. When you really simplify everything, it's just support and resistance. They just want to attach a certain, aspect to it, whether it be a pivot point. You could have a pivot point here. You could have a pivot point here. It's all the same stuff. Supply and demand, it's the same thing. So don't get too, confused by it or anything like that, because there's no need to get confused by it. Okay. But literally, we had Rob make that spreadsheet with literally every possible option, so you could, have as much data gathering points as possible. That's all. But you don't need to use that journal. That's just a starting point, like I said. If you like to make it simpler, by all means, make it simpler. When I was doing back testing, I wasn't good at spreadsheets, so I didn't even use a spreadsheet. I just had literally a pad and a pen, and I wrote everything down. So I didn't even have, I didn't write stuff on a spreadsheet like that. The journal was an actual journal pad that I would write in. Any other questions? All right, so no other questions about backtesting? All right, tell me some struggles that you've had backtesting. Any struggles at all that you've had backtesting? Tell me, what's been your struggles? If you've had any. Not enough info. So what do you mean by not enough info, Troy?
For me, at least on my pair, I back tested, 6 months. And out of the 6 months, I was only able to actually take about 18 trades.
Okay.
But that's only on one pair, obviously. But And that was with me actually going back into the market with the right mindset and just taking my time. Like I'm just really trading, not
Right.
just playing a chart like one bar at a time. So for me, the way I like to do things, I mean, this is just going to take a lot longer and I need a lot of data. I want a lot of data.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to actually probably go back to at least 2017, maybe even 2016 and start from there. Because I
Sure.
started at 2020, then I went back and then I did 2019 and I've got about 5 months of data and I'm starting my second pair now. That's all. Not a problem. Just I want more
What pair
data.
was that on, by the way?
Pound AUD.
Pound AUD. Okay. So what you might find on pound AUD, pound NZD, the USDJPY are the reasons that you might find it harder to find some trade setups is probably because what are your stop losses that you're using on those when you're going through and back testing them?
You mean like the number?
Yeah, well, like what are your rules that you're using for entering as far as like, what you're using for like your stop losses and stuff?
Yeah, if I think if it's a good setup and if it's like a type one and if it's a 15 or a 20 pip stop loss, but I feel that I can definitely get more than 1 to 2 or 2 to 1. I'll use that.
Okay. So here's what we found. And this is why I'm asking that specific question is because on pound AUD, pound NZD, and USD JPY, if your stop loss is 15 to 20 pips, okay, you're going to get very small amount of trades. Now, we did a run that went to about a year. And in that year, the average number was about 40 or so, 44 trades a year for these pairs if you stick to a 15 to 20 pip stop loss.
Right.
Now, we changed it to just see what the data would show if we changed the stop loss here from 15 to 20. We changed it from 25 to 30. Okay. Now, when we changed it from 25 to 30, our trades actually doubled during that same time.
I can see why.
So, and obviously, you know why, because the pip value on these is so high.
Right.
And so each of the candles by themselves, like some of the entry candles are like 30 pips by themselves. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh yeah.
So if these are the pairs that you want to trade, that's fine. But I think you should definitely think about using a higher stop loss
Yeah.
than the 15 to 20 on these specific pairs. Just because, I mean, the Asian ranges on these by themselves are about 100 pips sometimes, you know?
Right.
So if you're going to trade these, be prepared to essentially risk more on your stop loss. At the same time that you risk more on your stop loss, because it has a higher pip value, you're going to have to reduce the risk some other way. And the only way I know how to reduce the risk is basically lower your lot size.
Right.
So let's say if you're normally trading a standard lot size on these, or is that, on a normal pair, that's what you would normally trade, then essentially lower your risk by lowering your lot size to maybe half of that, you know,
Yeah.
until you get some consistency. And then you can turn it up a little bit by maybe a 6-0 or 7-0. You're still not wanting to risk your entire what you would normally do because you're still taking a higher risk no matter what. But you can basically take half of what you would normally risk, so that way you can start to get comfortable with it. And as you get comfortable with it, you can start to add on a little bit more, but just not get to your max yet, because it's just, if you're taking more risk, it doesn't make sense to for you to take more risk and just lower it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I do see quite a few trades, but I'm really going to be picky about this. I'm not going to get into
Yeah,
garbage. So
of
yeah.
course. Yes, of course. And
Yep.
so, if you think about um trading, let's say four pairs or four trades a week or so, I mean, you're talking about 16 trades a month, that ideally you would be looking for. So that's, if you do the math, on the standard lot, that's 300. Let's say on a 30 pip, 300 per trade, comes about 4,800 or so. Um, money wise a month. And I know if you ask the majority of people, that's something that would allow them to live way with everything, that pay their bills and have extra money in savings and stuff like that. That's a pretty popular number, is 4,800 or so. Obviously everybody's situation is different, but that's very popular for popular number that everybody can obtain. It's not crazy. You're not over trading or anything like that. But at the same time, you have to be, like you said, very picky about what you're doing, because the more picky that you are, obviously the less trades you're going to take, but the trades that you take are going to be very profitable. You know what I mean? You're not going to have as many losses, basically.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. Anybody else? Anybody else has struggles or anything like that? Wrong direction. Okay. So figuring out basically what direction you're going to trade for that day and stuff.
Yes.
Well, what did you use anything to try to help you with that? Any like EMAs or anything like that, or cycles, or?
Well, once I realized that I was having a number of lost trades, I figured out, okay, well, I need to go back and figure out, like, I'm obviously have misread the level. So I just went back to the basics and yes, found my first peak formation and then went from there and studied the EMAs and where they're crossing. Yes, I've spent a lot of time on that, but I really enjoy it. I mean, I want to get it right. So, yeah. And then also, I mean, okay, going back to, okay, well, what cycle am I in?
Uh-huh.
So, and then, once I started applying those two, I started moving forward in the right direction.
Right. Gotcha.
So that was good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, all right. So if anybody else has any issues, let me know. If not, somebody give me a pair to look at, to backtest with you guys. GU. GU. All right. So let's go to GU. So common now, Ismail. GU so common. Where is this? Yeah, GU's like everything now.
You say, Mark, it's common?
What's that?
What did you say? It's common?
Yeah, well, it's so popular now, It's so popular, like, and I understand why. I get it, it's popular with me as well, so I understand the reasoning behind it. It's so
I might have to change husbands.
What's that?
Might have to change husbands.
I don't know if you do or not, but
Sorry to despair, but if it's getting so popular, I don't know. But
well, I mean, it's almost, well, the thing about the pairs that it's like EURUSD, where it's very traded it, but EURUSD doesn't have any kind of volatility or anything like that. So you know, that makes it even harder. It makes it easier in the fact of like your stop losses may be super tight and stuff, but the pip value is just so, you know, it's just so small, you know what I mean? That that, you know, it's just bah, you know. So all right. So I think I may have picked the too easy of a week. Let me see. Yeah, let me find a good week here. So we could so we can back test it. Here we go. Let me do this one. All right, so where's my all right, so everybody can see my screen again, yeah? Yikes. All right, good. All right, so start of the week, Sunday, Monday. All right, Sunday, Monday, start of the week. And let's go ahead and take a look at the previous week. What's happened so far? What happened the previous week? So on this week here, we had coming off of a trending cycle, right? And then basically setting up this entire next week here. So we still created lower lows and lower highs, right? This particular week here. So, I mean, technically, this was a trending cycle, wasn't it? That was a trending cycle, right? So, all right. So let's play this out here. And let's see what we can come up with here on this. And you guys tell me what you guys are thinking so far as how this starts to essentially develop. Because so far, if you zoom out, it looks like this whole thing right here is a peak, right? And it's starting to move down. So we just came from an uptrend, and then now we've created a peak here, and then we're basically working our way down. right? Everybody see that? That makes sense to everybody?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So going into Monday, right now, do you have any type of, let's say, of a bias here? Do you have any type of a bias? So your biases are short right now. Sell. Okay. So, well, let's take a look and see what happens here with the bias of a sell. Because I mean, right now you still have the 800 below you. Yeah, the 50 going straight through price. You still have the 200 above you, right? So you're kind of like in the middle, squishing in to see what happens here. Any bias yet? You still want to sell this? Type 1. So who else think is going to create a type 1 possibly? Looks like a long now, says Gianluca. It's pinning to the 50. Ah, yes. It's pinning to the 50, right? So it's pinning to the 50, and you see, here's the behavior. It's pinning to the 50, and then obviously that 50 is holding price going up again. So essentially, this doesn't allow, that 50 doesn't allow price to come to the middle of the range. Do you see that? See how it doesn't allow the price to get to the middle of the range there? All right, so let's see here. Man, that looks like almost like a real good type 1, doesn't it? How many people, here's the thing, how many people would get into this trade right now? Anybody willing to get into that trade right now? It's too late in the session, right? Troy says it's too late in the session. Right, you had damn near 2 star patterns right here, right? First leg, second leg, both of them, they were star pattern, right? But so if you recognize the behavior, I would have gotten in already short after the doji and the red candle closed below. Yeah. So you'd have gotten, you see, you're saying you would have gotten in on there. Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, the TDI, right? The TDI is sloping down, right? It's creating its own M here, sloping down. Yeah. But it's very late. I mean, this is like what? Let me change this, by the way. It's stupid time. This is like 6:30 candle here. So super late. So you have a very good chance of pulling back. And you can see. So what have you noticed so far? That every time that it goes to the 50, see it gets rejected there. Do you see that? every time it gets to the 50, it gets rejected. Right, so that should tell you that of what you could be expecting there. The fact that this is not going to go down as much as you want it to, and as much as the pattern is there, because the 50 is holding it from moving down further. And so here's that in between time here. So this is what, 8:15, 8:30. All right. So what is the behavior that you guys keep seeing on this? Does anybody see any kind of behavior on this? Anything at all? Right. Well, blocking by the 50s, one, right? What else?
Price being stuck between the EMAs.
Right. Price is basically, it's almost like getting squeezed out, right? By the 50 and 200, right? So price is basically moving back and forth, getting squeezed like that, right? So this essentially is those wedge patterns, right, that they talk about in the books, right? You see that? How many times do you ever see these wedge patterns before? All the time, yes? But really the question becomes, are we going to get any kind of a setup at all to actually trade this at all? Anybody see anything at all yet? Right, railroad track. It's riding above the top of the Asian range. It says riding above the top of the Asian range. You know it's getting pushed by the 50 up, right? You can see it's breaking past through the 200. Okay, so it's not getting like pullback, a lot of pullback from the 200. The pullback is actually coming back from the 50 because it keeps getting pushed higher and higher and higher by the 50. Do you see that? Right, a breakout up, yes. So on these patterns like this, if you've never seen or read books on them and stuff, so these kind of patterns like this usually break up higher. Right, so let's just say for the hell of it, what's the stop loss? About 20 pips stop loss. $20 stop loss. How about if you do something a little safer? And how about if you do a pending, let's say, buy stop up here? So basically you're forcing it to clear the highs here. And you put your stop loss below the 50 because you know price keeps pushing. And so, all right, so where would you take this to? If you look back, where could we go? What's the first place you could go with this? Anybody? If you don't have any kind of reference points, right? You could basically do 30 pips, or really 20 because it's the US session. But so even let's do that, right? So this is about 1.6 or so risk to reward ratio. Does that make sense? Let's see where this goes. Yeah, so I don't think it's going to go any higher. So I went up to went all the way up to what is this? So 76 or so. And ideally with the spread though, what if you're really talking about really like 700, because that spread is at least, let's call it 5 pips at least. So really would be like up to here. So it's literally about 20 pips, like we always talk about for the US session, 20 pips. So about 20 pips for that US session. But that's only Sunday, Monday. That's only Sunday, Monday. What happens really on Tuesday? Let's fast forward to Tuesday here. All right, so on Tuesday, what do we have on Tuesday here? Where's the setup to sell here, Ismail? Where would the setup be there to sell? All right, so where's the first and second legs at? Alex. If it was Ismail, if it was a straightaway trade, it would have done it starting in the Asian session. So by the time the London session would have started, like it would have already been way down. So let's play this out here. What does that look like? W, right? Type 1. Pinning to yesterday's low. Pretty late in the session is the only bad part about it. That's like super early, Alex. Like, if you're talking about this, is this really an M? That's not really an M. You know, you're basically trying to trade the stop hunt is what you're doing. Don't trade the stop hunt. Don't trade that. Trade this. It'd be way better. All right. So what's the, how far are we from the bottom? So about 24 pips from the bottom. and really about 16 pips from that candle. So 16, 18 pips from the candle. And then just to get up to, let's say 30 is at the top of the range, top of the Asian range. So that's not too bad. It's nothing crazy or anything like that. And basically that would keep us in what? If this trade goes up like this and it stops at the top of the range, where would that keep us for the weekly cycle? Right, it'd keep you in accumulation, right? So it'd keep you in the accumulation cycle so far for that week, because essentially that's the only thing that you have to go off of so far is that high here and that low down here, right? Price is moving between those 2 points. And so far you haven't had, on Tuesday, you didn't get any kind of crazy move in one direction. Yeah, the 50 and the 200 are in the way. Yes, they are. We'll see what happens because we're only trying to get up here. If you get a spike up here to the, to the top of the range, you know what I mean? That's really all that you need is a spike. So like that, like so, a spike. See that? A spike. One candle and you're out of the trade. Yeah, so if you're thinking about it like this, Troy, it's kind of like, if they're moving between, let's say support and resistance of the high and low of Monday, then typically you're going from one to another. This isn't really that big of a range, by the way. This is only like 65 pip range, so it's not it's not like an ideal uh best of of ranges here. We're talking about a really small range anyways. All right, so you get that. What happens the US session? So does anybody see any behavior in the US session? Rejection. Where is it getting rejected from? By the 50 and the 200, right? Well, the EMA is a bigger EMA, so the 50 and the 200 and the middle of the range as well, right, is getting rejected essentially. Now, what do you think? Type 3 criteria, exactly. Yeah, Travis, exactly, Travis. Type 3 criteria. Yes. So what's the range here? It's about 17, 18 pips or so to go another 20 pips basically up here. That's almost like outside of that range. Does it even go up to that? Okay. It goes a lot higher. Okay. So, all right. So now what does this tell you for the rest of the week here? Are you still thinking that it's going to be an accumulation range? Yes, an accumulation cycle, I should say. Well, let's see what happens on Wednesday, because I think what happens on Wednesday could help us in determining whether or not we're going to keep this structure or not for the week. So here is Wednesday, and it's only a 12 pip range. It's a super small range anyways. Ismail, I can't be a market maker. That's out of the question because of what happened on Tuesday. Tuesday went sideways. So it's out of the question. So Wednesday comes in, all right? And what do we get on Wednesday here? Oh, we get that. What are we trading there, Gianluca? A short? Why are you trading a short there? Where's your second leg at, though? So if you take a trade here, if you take a short here, where are you going to, doesn't go give us one? Well, yeah, not always, right? Exactly. All right, well, let's just say this. Let's just play into what you're saying. So where would you take that? Where would you take that to? Like where'd you take profit at, Gianluca? Bottom of the Asian range. Okay, so you're going for a 19 pips. Is that stop loss where you'd have your stop loss set, or are you going to have it somewhere else? Right. Well, here's what happened. What's going to happen here, Gianluca? Let's see if you're right or wrong. Well, even if you go up higher, where you're going to go all the way up here, then that wouldn't make any sense. You know, where high are you going to go? How high are you going to go? Because at some point, it just doesn't make sense to take the trade. You know what I mean? So why don't you just wait to see if you get a second leg or not? So what happens here? Here you got a first leg here, pins all the way to yesterday's high, comes up with a second leg right here. Do you see that? Now, is there a possible trade here? Because now your stop loss is only 15 pips. Do you see that? Now you only got a 15 pip stop loss, and let's say to the 200 really is only 20 something, about 20 pips or so. So let's just say the bottom of the range at least. With oh no, I messed it up. Give me a second. No, I messed it up. What date was that? Jesus. How bad is that? Here we are. Here. Is it here? Here. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Yeah. It happens, man. It happens. Okay. It's all right. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. All right. So this next candle here. So if you go down to the 200 is about 18 pips or so. So really 20, call it 20 pips or so, right about there, and see what happens. It'd be nice actually if you can get a pullback to give you a better entry, but I don't think you will. All right, so that's one there. All right, so that's Wednesday. And so what do you notice about the week so far? Look at the week now. What do you notice? What do you notice about the week so far? What's happening? Look what's happening with the EMAs, where basically you have the 200 now is now below price. Do you see that? Do you see how that transition happened over the course of the last 2 or 3 days or so? And so now you're basically you're no longer in that structure, right? You're basically now, if we go into Thursday, let's go into Thursday and see how that behavior happens. Yeah, you see, so now you already know. What do you know about what's happening now so far? Just by what's happening now with the Asian session going above that range. Do you see that? Right. It's basically it's transformed. Look, into a trending cycle. Do you see that? Do you see it?
Mark?
Yeah.
One question. If you look, because we identified that the peak was on the Tuesday, right? Peak formation last week. Is this week cycle part of the bigger picture? So it's making like a level.
It's just making a level of part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great question. It depends on whether or not it breaks this high up here. Because if it does, it's not creating a level. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because if this is, let's just say if this is like a high here, and you have your levels there, it wouldn't break the previous level. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay.
So right now, we know that we're basically in a trending cycle. Right. So see how it goes higher throughout the Asian range. All right. So so if you don't know, Who's in here that would know what this is. Charles, Chica. Chica would know what it is. Hey, Chica, how you been?
Hello. Fine.
Chica, is that really you?
Yes, it's me.
Holy smokes. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I was able to wake up today.
Good, good.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent, excellent.
Okay, that's
Kevon,
great.
do you know
And your
what
dad?
Yeah, he's doing good.
Yes, Mark.
Okay.
Do you know what this pattern is, Kevon?
Sorry, I just was looking at something else. The pattern mean
Or
maybe.
Travis? I know Kevon and Travis, or maybe Chica would know.
Hold on. God.
Travis, yes. So who was it that asked in the chat, in the mentoring chat, what was the type for?
Oh, it's not me.
Audrey.
Well,
Audrey, this would be an example of a type 4. And so the reason I don't talk about it is because it doesn't happen very often, but it happens sometimes. And so all it is just this right here on the top of the range. That's all it is. So where's 30 pips at? Doesn't go quite 30 pips. It goes 23 pips and then turns. And so here's what you get in the New York side. Do you see that? You get a New York reversal. Does everybody see that? What's the problem with the New York reversal? With this one in particular? Does anybody see a problem with it? Right, it's too close to the 50. It's too close to the 50. So I mean, you're literally talking about nothing, like 7 pips or something. Even if you get in after a close of the 13, which is like here, it's still only like 10 pips. Well, your buy should be long because you're in a trending cycle, but these reversals are going to happen, right? And so remember when I tell you guys you can take a reversal trade as long as you know that the bigger picture is to go higher. You know what I mean? $32 pip Asian range. This is Friday, remember that. So unless you got to get a really good pattern to trade on a Friday for it to make sense for you to trade on a Friday. Anybody see anything yet? What's the thought process right now? Still a buy. I mean, how far are you away from the 200 anyways? You're only 22 pips away from the 200. It wouldn't make any sense. Anything yet? Type 3. What's happening? Think about, look at Thursday. What's happening on what happened on Thursday that's basically on Friday now? What is it doing? So this you had on Thursday, right? Has it broken above that at all? Has it made any kind of attempt to actually go up there and break it besides this one right here? See, this one's lower. This one's even lower. It's been wicking up like that. Do you see that? So all it's doing here is just creating a level. So does everybody see that, yeah? So for me, I'm thinking, okay, well, if this was going to go higher, like it literally should have gone already higher for them to pass this level, this high. These highs haven't been taken out yet. Okay, they haven't been taken out yet. And you see how price is moving just straight sideways. I don't think it's going to take out that high at all. Correct, Ismail. Setting up for next week. Yes. So there's the move of setting up for next week, where Friday is just sideways movement. You see what I mean? It's just sideways movement on Friday. We get into the following week. We get into the Asian session. We only have about a 12 pip Asian range here. Now, if this held, okay, think about this. If this high held and this starts moving sideways like this, okay, what are we getting from this? What's this telling us? Right, peak formation, right? And so this becomes here, this movement in the Asia is basically off of the peak formation that was created from last week. All right, so as you start to look essentially at this next week coming up, all right, you get a really tight consolidation on Sunday, Monday Asian range of only 12 pips. Okay, 12 pips consolidation. What is that behavior telling you right there? Can't break the middle, exactly. It's not breaking the middle. The 50 is basically holding price. This 200 is going straight through price. Okay. So what's the likelihood of this actually going up higher? Low, extremely low for this to go up higher. So ideally, you'd be looking for sells for a sell setup. You'd be looking really for type 3 setups is what you would be really looking for, because this is just straight moving sideways, sideways, sideways. So ideally, you want the low of Asia to break for trade. So I mean, your range here is really good because it's only, you know, if you, even if you do 15 pips, all the way at the very top of the range. And I mean, you have you have basically a limitless fucking, you know, where you could go down to the 800. Possibly that's a good 44 pips or so. You know. Well, you would want to see if you can get basically depending on how far this drop is. So you're going into the US session, and look, you're going into the US session. Look where you are. Right, you're all the way up here going into the US session. You see how the 50 keeps pushing it down? See, I pinned to the 50 there, and it keeps pushing it down. You're still in this trade, by the way. How far down does it keep going? So this Asian range now coming up for Tuesday. What are you ideally looking for on Tuesday? What's the setup that would make sense for you to look for on Tuesday? Definitely short, right? You want to look for shorts. over everything, yeah, you want to definitely look for shorts over everything. Because, I mean, you have pretty much all of the EMAs above you. So you definitely would be looking for a short. So let's see. We only get a 10 pip range. That's not an ideal setup, is it? I mean, it is an M, right? But this candle, how big is this candle? It's about 15 pip candle. Right, definitely a pullback is needed for sure. Right, ideally you'd want to pull back. You get a little bit of a pullback. Too much pullback, right? All right, so far you have a crazy pullback all the way to the 200, right? You're still looking for sells because that's the bias that you have coming off of that level 1 up here, right? So you're looking for a stop hunt high and then drop. It hasn't, you had a stop hunt up here, but it went all the way back up to the 200. All right. And now we're going into essentially the US session. Now, the important part is sell stop below US session doji maybe. Or like this one right here or this one. Later one. I mean, there's your candle there. So what's the it's about 12 pip candle. You don't have the EMAs in your favor. So, I mean, what's 20 pips or so from there? Be probably somewhere around right here. You don't have anything else really to use as a stop loss. Damn, talk about close. So depending on how much your spread is, that probably could have taken you out. That's like literally like a pip or something. Yeah, literally it's about a pip and a half or something like that. So even if you were to be taken out by this candle here, all right, did they take out the high is a question that you got to ask yourself. Was the high taken out? No, right? So if the high is not taken out, you're still good. So even let's just say this. If you take a trade, okay, if you take a trade like this and they go back, okay, and they pin that high, but they don't take it out, meaning they don't close above it, as long as you have a second leg, I mean, you're still good to take that trade down because they didn't go above that and close above that high. Does that make sense? It is, but I mean, depending on where you are, I mean, you could be looking at a crazy big stop loss unless you get a nice pullback. So let's say like this right here, you know, you get two candles that come back up. So if you're thinking to yourself that this candle was too big for you, I mean, you get this pullback here, that makes it a way better trade. Now it's only a 7 pip, you know, stop loss or 10 pip stop loss, you know. And I mean, you still get, this one ended up 33 pips. So what does this tell us so far about the weekly cycle? What kind of a cycle is this? Or what kind of a cycle would you expect? So Troy, why would you expect an accumulation cycle?
Oh, I see it now. No, the chart was zoomed out too much. I had it zoomed in too much. Now I see it.
Gotcha.
It's making lower low. Yep, I see it now.
Right. So it'd be a trending cycle, right? So for Wednesday, what are you looking for Wednesdays? Are you looking for sells or buys on Wednesdays? You're looking for sells. So let's go to Wednesday. Right. We're under the 200, yeah. But what's happening? Anybody notice anything? Why is price getting stuck in the middle of the range? You see what I mean? Look, it keeps pinning the middle of the range. What the hell, man? That's not cool. Multi-session. Multi-session is the key word. Multi-session with a second leg railroad track is the key to your salvation. All right. So multi-session second leg railroad track. I don't know if it'll go that low, but I'm just using this line here from yesterday's low. It does go that low. Holy shit, it goes lower. It goes way low. So that was just to that line of yesterday's low is about 29 pips. So that was Wednesday. We're in a trending cycle. So Thursday, what are we looking for again? Sell, right? Looking for sells on Thursday. Can we get sell setups on Thursday? Well, I mean, what's the only option here? Just by that, what's the only option for a sell setup, right? Type 1, right? I mean, just look at that. Look at that behavior. Look at that. Come on. Yeah, there you go. So 14 pips. Take it to, dang, what's 30? 30 is about here. So if you have the previous week's low below you, you could use that as like a second take profit if your 30 pips is in the middle of nowhere right here. So this would be like 50 pips getting to previous week's low. But get to 30 first. Get to 30 first and see what happens after. Then you can like manage it or whatever after that. Damn. Okay. Goes below that. Goes all the way to 60. Yeah, right. It's my home run. Yeah. All right. So we're going into Friday now. We're going into Friday and we're in a trending cycle, right? So ideally, we'd like to get a sell. It better be a really good setup for a sell because we know what happened the previous week where we really didn't get any kind of a good setup at all, you know? So is that a sell setup right there? That's a sell setup right there. Yeah. Now it looks like a good sell, right? Reality though wasn't this first leg, second leg here, and you had a pullback? You had the 50 there, right? What's the I mean, I almost feel like if you were going to get into this, like the crossover happened on this candle and the pullback would have been the better entry here, you know? Where would this go down to? I mean, 30 pips is like down to here. It's also pretty late too in the range, in the session. So look at what's going down to yesterday's low. So did it take out that high? No, right? So it may have took you out of the trade, but it didn't close out of that high. It didn't take out the high. So guess what? Do 20 pips. Damn, that went down to the original one. So that would have been, yeah, like 40 pips. All right, so that was that trending cycle week. So we had two trending cycles basically back to back, going up and then this one going down. All right. So let's see, Monday. All right. Does this remind you of what we just looked at like a week and a half ago from when we first started? Where you had price bouncing off of the middle and the 50? Do you remember that? And you had the 200 above you? Does everybody remember that from, what week was it? From this week over here? Remember that? And it went up? So if that's the case, you see that pin bar right there? Come on, man. It'd be great if you had I don't know if it'll make it that high. Maybe just go probably up to here. Would be nice if you had a order like a buy limit order right here. So if it does come back down and spike it, you literally get like stupid good entry. Does that make sense to everybody? Let's just call that the entry, but it would be nice to have a buy limit order right here, right where that 50 is. So if it does come back down and spike it, I mean, you're literally talking about, fuck, I mean, 5 pips or something like that you can get, like your, like a stop loss or something. Holy shit. Well, alrighty. Well, that'd be a trade to take and not trade the rest of the week, right? From 23 pips all the way to freaking 90, 80. Jesus. Man, what's the likelihood of this coming back down for that big ass move? Pretty high. Yeah, well, this would be like the peak formation low right here, Ismail. Stop orders by, yeah. So order. So buy. Fuck, can I spell anything? Buy limit is basically you saying that I want to place an order, let's say here, to buy. So what would have to do is price would need to come down below your entry and then spike up, and that would trigger a buy limit order. Same thing for like a sell limit order. If you're, let's say, if you're thinking that this is, I don't know, let's just say this is a, say you're thinking that this is a type 2 order or something, and you put a sell limit order here. So basically price would need to go up, pass it, and then come down, and that would trigger the sell limit order. Buy stop and sell stop orders are pretty simple. Those are basically just, let's say if I wanted to sell this here because I think this is going to reverse, I can put a sell stop order, let's say down here, and just basically when price gets to it, it'll trigger sell automatically. Just like if I thought that this was going to go, let's say high, right? This is going to do this. I could have placed, let's just say a buy stop order here. And so as soon as price goes above it and breaks it, it'll put me into a buy order. Does that make sense, Tracy?
Yeah, so I guess in my mind, I'm seeing it as the stop order triggers and continues in the direction it was going when it triggered it.
Yeah, so the stop orders are basically you're continuing, right? And then buy and limit orders are basically you wanting to get like super, you know, precise entries, you know what I mean, of what you're expecting or what the behavior you'd like to happen. So good examples of like maybe the limit orders was that what I was doing last week when I was predicting, you know, hey, this for you know, during the Asian run, like, all right, well, if I get a type 3, I'd want it to
Right.
be here, you know, and I missed a couple of them literally by like a pip,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
But yeah, so those would be like the limit orders and stuff that I was playing around with last week to go with. But yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So price was New York. Price moves down, obviously, and consolidates. All right. So now this basically leaves us a huge gap for Sunday, Monday, right? And so as far as you know, trying to determine what kind of a cycle we're going to have that week. So that's what we got to work with. Basically, a huge range. It's about a 122 pip range that we're going to have to work with essentially for this. So Tuesday now. What would be awesome on Tuesday is to get, because we had such a big move spike, a move down would be awesome. That was super early, godly. Oh, here's a yeah, so that happened super early. So that's not getting in anything. And what does that look like, Travis or Kavan? Or Travis isn't here anymore. Kavan, what does that look like? Or Chica, what does that look like? Do you remember?
Half a Batman.
Half a Batman, yeah. So I'm really interested in looking for buys. And this is like a good time to put in a buy stop order. Buy stop orders would be good on this because you're expecting this is like a V and then price consolidates and then essentially goes up. So like let's say a buy stop order to like somewhere around here. You can use all these points here as take profit points. You can use this area here as like a as your stop loss. And then I mean, just to get, you know, 20 pips or whatever, you're just going to the top of the range. So you're not asking for anything crazy, ridiculously stupid. You know, we're just talking something very simple. You can see it's just riding that 200, riding the 200. And you see how every time it goes higher and higher and higher and higher and higher until it basically it's going to break. There it is. Yeah. All right, so there's that one on, was that Tuesday? So Tuesday we went basically sideways from top to bottom. So what are we in right now? Going into Wednesday. What are we in right now? We're at accumulation, yes. Accumulation. We're in accumulation. We're like literally dead smack in the middle. So like, I mean, if this continues to go sideways straight through the Asian range like this, like it is now, yeah, I mean, literally it could be anything. It could be a buy, it could be a sell. You don't know because you're literally dead smack in the middle because of that huge move on Sunday, Monday, right? So the pattern becomes really, you know, super important um, on these really specific accumulations, especially if you're like dead smack in the middle like this, because it could literally go either way. So what you could do if you find yourself in a situation like this is, I mean, obviously go look at a different pair. You know, don't get fixated on this when, you know, when this is just literally just one option for you to look at, you know. It's only a 15 pip range. I mean, you could see basically you have, look at this, the EMAs, the 250, 800, all basically going straight through price. Do you see that? So if you see that, all right, I would tell you to avoid that like the plague, because it's going to do nothing but move sideways. Look at the TDI straight at the 50 going straight sideways also. See what I mean? So there's no, you see that? Look, straight sideways movement. Nothing, nothing. TDI still same middle. Look, the whole, all the EMAs straight sideways again. Straight sideways. So there's, unless something starts to break apart. The only good thing about this sideways movement is that there's going to be a breakout at some point. We can definitely tell you that much. Whether it's high or low, there's going to be a breakout that's going to happen when you have that kind of behavior. All the 800, 250 EMAs going straight sideways, right? Isabel's saying disgusting, yeah. So you're going to definitely have a breakout that's essentially going to happen because of that behavior. It always happens. All right. Always get some kind of a breakout that happens off of this. Yeah, it's complete garbage. I mean, the only thing that I could see here is the fact that you're literally in the middle. Do you see that? You're in the middle of, by 20 something pips from the top, and from the bottom, you're about 20 pips as well. So you're in the middle of the range at the beginning of the New York session. So typically, you know, it would be a continuation trade, but where the hell are you going to continue from? Is it basically a continuation like this? I don't think it'll be someone like, you know, like this, because the move wasn't really strong. What would make sense would be something like this. But I mean, you would need basically price to break past all this stuff here. You don't want to have, you know, get stuck trading this stuff. So there would be a good candle right there. What is that? 15 pip stop loss. You're kind of getting rejection here on the TDI. That would be, man, that would be a good spot right there for the for a buy limit order. So when that candle would hit it here, it would basically get you into a buy trade. And even now, if you don't even put it in, that's still a good trade setup. You only have like a 9-10 pip stop loss. That's nothing. I mean, where did this this went all the way to the high here. Let's see if you take it up to the high, it's 55 pips from the high. So the worst thing that you could possibly happen here is it just does sideways movement, and basically you're out of the trade in 6 candles. Does that make sense? Or even if you have, let's say, a buy stop up here or something to continue, if you're kind of don't want to be in this mess, you could have something up here where it'll basically make sure that you're cleared out of that area there as a breakout or something. And that would have put you into that trade there on a buy stop. Yeah, it's not going to go all the way up. So it went up about 44 pips. So you take your, let's say, 30. And call it a day. You're still not even to the top of the range either. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see. So what is this, Friday? So it's Friday. So you really don't, the only bias that you would have would probably be to go higher. But I mean, it's not the best. This is not the best type of setup. It's only a 10 pip Asian range. So I mean, there's nothing there that's really, hey, see, look at that. You see that? Do you want to be stuck in that crap? Like, look at it. Do you want to be stuck in that crap? No, you don't want to be stuck in that. That would be like right there, the first big move that is made, significant. Think about collecting contracts throughout the whole London session, and then it finally does that. Yeah. So that'd be a non-trading day. And look, it takes a whole week, basically have an accumulation. You have an accumulation cycle. Look, because of that move that happened Sunday, Monday, you basically had a whole week of nothing but sideways movement, right in the middle of the range. So that would have been a pretty, maybe a difficult type of week to trade, because you only see like 3 trades possibly. So I mean, this is really from peak formation. I would say this is from peak formation low here as well, from right here. And then all these Asian ranges are all the same. So this is all one level, you know? Yeah, so this is all one level here. So this is peak 1, and then it looks like it's moving maybe to 2 to go higher. At least that's what I would expect to go higher on this. Let's see. Yeah, to go higher. Yeah, so this here, I can already tell you, this is probably going to put you in a trending cycle, going into a trending cycle. Let's see, that's Monday. Tuesday. No. So here you had peak here. You had 1 here. Let's call this 2. Goes up. Call this 3, and here's your peak. Do you see that? So peak formation low. That's level 1. This is level 2. This is 3. Here's your peak formation high. And then this should drop. This should have levels of drop now. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, it should have levels of drop. Do you see it? Do you get it now, Ismo? Cool. All right, so that was like what, 3 weeks in 2 hours or something like that?
Mark, one question.
Yeah.
When you're backtesting, etc., you don't really take in consideration the levels. You just take it week by week. So
Week by week, man. Week by week, and then listen. If you want to start counting the levels, you can. I would tell you to box them out as you're doing it. You know what I mean? So like,
yes.
Start boxing them out, so that way you can count along the way. And by the time you get to the actual, like where we are now today, in 2020 or whatever, like you'd have all of the levels already printed out. So if you wanted to, the only thing that we didn't do here was mark out all the different levels. So if you want to go back to, like, let's say a date where you can clearly see, start out with like a peak high or a peak low, and then literally start counting from that point. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it easier for you.
Okay.
But yeah.
One suggestion. Because from now on, the group session, are we going to do backtesting, right?
We're not only going to do backtesting, but I mean, we did it today because obviously that's what the week was.
Okay. Because what I wanted to ask, maybe we can do maybe 1 or 2 weeks, let's say, as homework for ourselves, and then during the group session, we can just see what you are doing, if our thinking process are aligned. You know what I mean? So that would, because then we can see, okay, what we are thinking, are we thinking the same as you're thinking, etc.
So you mean like pick a pair, pick one?
Yeah, just one pair, and then backtest 2 weeks. That's it, for example.
Backtest 2 weeks during the week.
Yes, just 2 weeks, and that's it. And then next week we can go through that. So you can go and play it out and see, okay, are we getting the same results?
That would be a good idea, as long as it's not going into the trading psychology week. I think it's like week 11.
Okay.
And the trading plan week, because we want to create the trading plan.
Okay.
So if the other weeks, I would think we could do that. Yes.
Okay.
We could do that. Let me let me find out real quick what week it is, because that way we'll know. While I'm figuring out which week it's going to be best to do this, you guys start, you know, in the comments, start picking out a pair that everybody can agree with to backtest for 2 weeks, and then I'll tell you like the two dates of ranges or whatever. So start talking to yourselves in the comments or whatever about what pairs you guys want.
What week are you looking for? What topic?
I'm trying to see what week is
Trading
not.
Psychology is week 10.
Week 10, okay.
But you
What
have
week
more
is the trading plan?
trading plan.
9? Because I know it's not 12. It's got to be either 11 or.
Management, risk money management is week 9.
Okay. 10.
Trading Psychology week 10. Week 11 is
11.
week 11 is rules for profit.
Rules of profit, yep.
And then week 12 is the trade in the London session.
Yeah. So then, what are we in? You guys are on week, what, 8? Yes? 8, and then next week is 9? Yes, yeah. So tomorrow's week 9 for you guys. So that would be, let's see. That was money management week 9. Let me see something. Losing streak. Okay, we could do it. Yeah, so here's what we'll do, because week 9 at the end is going to have the trading plan. So next week you guys will start creating the trading plan. So what we can do is, Mo, we can do it on week 10 is trading psychology. So week 11, we can do that. Week 11, we could do that. Because trading psychology week, you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, we could definitely do it week 11. So that's something we'll do for week 11. All right. But yeah, if there's nothing happening in those trading room sessions for whatever, we can also do that also in there. But we'll do more during the group sessions. So, and by the way, the group sessions don't end freaking after the 12 weeks anyway, so they keep going. So I mean, it doesn't matter. We'll keep doing it. So, all right. All right, guys, any questions? Any last questions? No questions. All right. You're welcome, Audrey. You guys enjoy the rest of your night then, and we'll see you guys in the trade room on Tuesday with Travis.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Good night.
Night. Chica, come back. Don't be
The problem is that even if Avery McCaffrey is in this, it still doesn't
Hello?
explain the deficit.
What did you want to say?
I said come back for the trade room sessions, Chica.
I will.
All right. It's good to
I
see
will.
you.
You too.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.